Yeah, there's a lot of friendly and friendly people, warm people in Sheffield.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of All Wednesday. This time around I thought I'd share with you my interview with Henrik Pedersen, who we chatted to today after a great win away at Portsmouth over the weekend and ahead of QPR's visit to Hillsborough this coming weekend. Really insightful stuff in there. He talks about lots of different things. He's a very interesting man, very positive, trying to be, especially in these times. But yeah, we spoke to him about all sorts. I asked him about the Chansiri and the current concerns over wages at the end of the month. I asked him about Harry Amass and George Brown and Bailey Kadamari, but also touched on a few more sort of insightful bits about his workings and how he deals with players, both from a football perspective, but also a more human, mental, psychological perspective. But yeah, there's some really interesting stuff in there. Hope you enjoy it. So yeah, without further ado, here's my chat with Henrik. Obviously, with Craig Mudd and Pete coming in, it means you've got a little bit more time to work with things. You're not spread quite so thinly. Does that make a big difference for you in terms of how you can use your time?
Of course, with two extra coaches, is mean that we, beside to think from Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, or Saturday, we can also start to put the bigger perspective in how are we working with our players in a bigger perspective. How do we, our week plan, one thing is the tactical things, but of course, how can we also start to work more individual, because there's only 5 players from the under 21 squad who is not part of the first team. So how can we work also more individual with the players? How can we make a better week plan for the tactical? How can we make a better week plan for the individual training? How can we make a better analysis and feedback for each single player? It can be for the group, defender, midfielder, striker, but it can also be, example, Bailey and George, or how are they asking for the ball? How are they making the deep runs? The timing in this, in which gap are they running? How is the movement in the box? So George don't stay position where the defender can see the ball and him at the same time. The timing when they go into the box, and Ernie, how is his +1 position? How is his duel on the direct vertical balls? How is position when the ball go on the side to be ball-sided defending player? So we can start now to work much more individual with the players and work much more in group. So of course, it will increase the quality of what we are doing. So now, in the moment, there is Pete, there is Muddy, there is Giles, and there is Andy, because we have more or less under 21 together with the first team. So we need a lot of coaches, not only for the training on the pitch, but a lot for the analysis of the training, analysis of the games, the individual, the group feedback, the team feedback. So there's a lot to do for everyone.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you about the individual side of things. Is that a big part for you, like taking time to sit down with your players, and rather than trying to tell the team what you want from them, to you know, like you say with Bailey, to sit down with Bailey and say, look, this is what I think you need to improve on, or sit down with George and go, these are the things that I think you need to do better, that kind of thing?
I think it's a combination. When I have the meeting before games and after the game, it's about the team and about all the relation. How do we want to press? How do we want to build up? Blah, 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 all those kind of things. But to increase the team, we need to increase every single individual players. And to increase the team, we need to work with all the young players we have. And that's why we will also, we have a meeting now when we are done about next week's week plan, but also we will make typically in 4 to 6 weeks where it can be Yisa, what is his main focus for his 1v1 defensive. It can be his open body position, or it can be different. But so we have a plan for players for a period of time, so they know how would a week plan look like. When do they have training normally, but when do they have the individual session, and when do they have the individual or group meetings? Because to improve, that's also mean you have to understand more. You have to be interested in the game. You have to learn more about the game, because you need to improve the consciousness about what we are doing, why we are doing, and how we are doing. And the things are always, it's easy for me as a coach, or Muddy or sitting, or Pete or Andy or Giles sitting with a player, say you have to do this. But if the player don't understand why it makes sense for him, then he only do it because we are saying this, and then it makes no sense. We have to create this personally why for each player for what we are doing, so the passion will be the motivation. So he feel, oh, if I follow this, I'll be a better player and we'll win more games. And this is necessary with the squad we have, that we combine the team development with the individual development.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sort of going back to last weekend, you made a big call, starting Erne, starting George in that game. Ahead of a game like that, like, do you have a sit down with them to sort of assess whether they're ready mentally to step in and start a championship game?
I said to George and also to Ernie, do you know why you are in the start 11? It was because you have been Ernie, you have been George, you have played well in the cup games, and that's why you should not do new things today or tomorrow. You have to be you, because you have played well. And then they have had some really good players around them to support them. And I have to say how Dominic played and how Max played around him. It was fantastic how they helped him. And also up front how Barry and how Jan helped George from behind. It was great. So again, the team was the best player in Portsmouth. And a good picture from this was that two young players could play so well, and they can only play so well because they are good players, but also because they have a strong team around them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you mentioned Jan then. Obviously, he's a player we've seen move position. We've seen Svante play in different positions. You've obviously got Liam Palmer, who's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, and you can chuck him in wherever you need him. When you've got such a small squad, how important is it to have that kind of versatility, the sort of players that are able to step up in different positions?
I think from Jan, I think he complement Barry really, really well in the midfield. I think when Barry think offensive, then he think defensive. When Barry have this position, he took another position. He's really good to look after Barry, so we can use all Barry's really, really good quality, but he can support him in this. And then Jan, he was really, really strong defensively for second ball, winning duels, but also with his experience that sometimes to keep the ball, take the tempo out of the game management part, I think Jan and Barry was really good.
Harry Amass, you said when we spoke to you last week that you thought we were going to see a lot more from him, that you thought he was going to get better, he was going to impress more. He really did impress against Portsmouth, didn't he? Are you, like, how impressed have you been with what you've seen from him so far?
Harry's most important part in the moment is to develop his defensive quality and to value a defensive action at the same level as our offensive action. And then the moment he grow a lot in his defensive work, and you can see he put so much effort into his defensive work, so he used most also of his sprint meter, his acceleration defensively. The next step is to continue this high level of defensive stuff, because he really improved in the moment. Also today we work with his individual 1v1 situation, how he stop and block crossing, but also how he defends second post area when there is a big tall guy by the second post. Yeah, but then the next step is also to have energy to bring more forwards again, because if you see the number of sprint, number of acceleration, then it's the biggest part from the defensive, and he has to increase the level of his physical development so he can use the same intensity also for the offensive part. Then we will start to see a really good Harry. So step by step, but he's in a really, really good development right now.
Yeah, no, I imagine we're going to see a lot more from him. I know you'll be focused on the first team, obviously, but there have been a couple of trialists, been with the 21s for some time now. I know it's a little bit difficult for the youth team because so many of the 21s are with you and the 18s are having to step up to the 21s. But with Josh Bayliss and Alex Asabu, who've been, it's been quite a few weeks now. What is the situation there? I mean, what's the plan with those two, considering the problems around signing players?
I think right now, I don't know what the current situation are today, but I don't think we can sign any players at all.
Right. Okay. And yeah, that leads on to the next one with Jack Hunt. Is Jack still around? Obviously, I know you said that he's been really helpful and stuff, but is he still training with you? And what's the sort of plan going forward with Jack?
He's not training with us right now, but yeah, let's see what's happened.
As has been mentioned before, Barry's done some interviews this week, spoken really well about the sort of the difficulties of the current situation at Wednesday, and he sort of said how it gets tougher towards the end of the month when wages are getting close. Is there anything that you do or try and do to sort of keep that from getting in the way of game preparation, and also from a general perspective, because it's not just the players that are worried about that. It's a collective, isn't it? It's something that everybody is having to deal with.
First of all, I don't think we have to make the world worse or better. I think we have to face it through, and when things like this is come around, then of course we have to speak about it, and it's important that we are communicate from the club side with what we know, and but how the players do that individual has been really, really good. And for my chair, I try to be the best mirror I can for the staff, for the coaches, but also, of course, for the players. And because when things like this are or had happened in the past, I mean, of course, you have to find a level of accept, because without this a level of accept, you cannot come back in the moment, and that's why you need to speak with each other about it, and that's why you need to make a perspective. Okay, what can we control? What can we not control? And then go out and make the best training. If it's training, the best game. If it's game, but big respect for the players, big respect for the staff, big respect for the coaches, how they have handled this into now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people at that football club. Obviously, I know you're limited in what you can and can't say, but with payday so close, have you spoken to the chairman? Have you been given sort of any indication as to whether people will get paid this month?
I spoke early in the week with the chairman about coaches, but I have not spoken with the chairman about the coming salary.
Okay. On to a completely different note then. Like many others, I watched Jordan Broadbent's video yesterday. Thought it was really powerful. I'm sure you want good human beings around you. You speak about that quite a lot. But in times like these, how nice is it to have people like Jordan, and all the other great people at the football club who are sort of in the trenches with you?
No, it's we need mirrors on all levels, from academy to the first team. There is not only a mirror as a football coach, but also a mirror as a human, and Jordan do a great job in this perspective. So, of course, I'm happy that we have good people around.
Yeah, lovely. And just lastly from me, I want to ask you about the city. Over the years, we've seen a lot of people come to Sheffield and stay in Sheffield. They make it a home long after they've, whether it's footballers, people, students and things like that. As someone who has come to Sheffield and settled in so nicely, I wondered what you thought it was about the place that sort of does that to people.
I think there is a human perspective here, to be normal, to feel well. It's difficult to be wrong. I think there is space for a lot of different type of people here, and I think general the people in Sheffield is very, very friendly people. So I can only tell about my experience that. So from the human side, I think, there's a lot of friendly and friendly people, warm people in Sheffield. And then I think for me and my family, I mean, of course, the Peak District, and it's a diamond. yeah, we were also there in the weekend, and it's just a fantastic place. And yeah, so I think there's many levels of this answer, but to be human, I think it's easy here, and the nature is fantastic.
So yeah, that's my chat with Henrik today. Hope you found it interesting. There's some really insightful stuff in there from Henrik. I thought some really interesting workings in terms of how he goes about his business, the things that he does, both in terms of the football side, but also the mentality and the psychological side of working with his players. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week. We might have Alex Miller back with us. We may also have a different kind of guest as well. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. And thanks very much for joining us. Cheers.